Hello, everyone. Throughout history, our country, well, in fact, our planet, for better judgment, has battled a variety of hardships. Whether these hardships have been individually or as a whole, we have all encountered a wall that weakens our growth as human beings, suppresses and limits our movements and our attempts to achieve, and even destroys us from within. In today's climate, with the rise of social media and a growing population, our walls become even more apparent. The depths of our walls have become deeper, wider, and stronger. So then we're left with the question, how do we overcome it? How do we overcome these barriers that have become so evident and are so visible because of the growth of our surroundings? How do we overcome our walls? Today, it's so easy to learn of other people's struggles, learn of any hardships that occur within the world. Constantly, we're glued to our phones, our televisions, our computers, radios, newspapers. There's always information that is so easy for us to access. With the rise in social media, it doesn't matter where we go, we're bound to encounter the most recent debacle, the most recent special report. We're, we're subjected to hear and watch today's special report or broadcast and learn how it affects us, the human beings. When I hear the phrase, social media has changed the way we learn, it's so true. Because just the tap of a few buttons, we're able to look up different recipes, we're able to look up different medications, we're able to look up and access different information pertaining to celebrities, higher figures, or even ourselves. So I think it's important to think about all of that when we consider the idea of what exactly a wall is and how do we overcome it. When contemplating my topic, there were several novels that I read in the past and even read recently that involve the idea of conquering one's wall. And I've tried to find great ways to tie it in all together. For instance, has anyone ever read the book Brick by Brick by Charles R. Jr. Smith and Floyd Cooper? The story Brick by Brick involves the building of the White House and the individuals who built it. Way before machines did most of the work, real people had to go and build buildings and towers, structures, and cities brick by brick. This story is important to note because many of the workers who assisted in the building of the White House were slaves. And because of their work on the White House, these slaves were able to pick up on many new crafts and skills, and after their work was complete, were able to buy their own freedom. So when you consider the fact that these slaves became free because of their work, the first thought that comes to mind is knowledge. When we unravel the idea of conquering our struggles, we do so by the power of knowledge. When we tie in social media into these events, we think that social media kind of gives us knowledge. It keeps us updated on the world. It keeps us updated on so many aspects of things that we've missed out, that there weren't ways for us to find out about, we now have access to. So when we think of the idea that knowledge is power, I think back to these slaves in the book and think of how they were limited and how they were succumbed to slavery, and that was their wall, their barrier. And for them, learning new traits, learning new skills, working on the White House, at first may have seemed as not work, but that they were forced into this. But the skills they gathered gave them power, it enabled them to do more, and in fact gave them freedom. So another novel I've also read was Before She Was Harriet by Lisa Klein Ramsone. Who knows Harriet Tubman? The woman who has led many slaves to freedom via the Underground Railroad. The lady who is distinguished as unbreakable because of her spirits and unraveling desire to overcome her barriers and her ability did not be broken. Before she was Harriet embellishes the woman that she has become, but speaks highly of her journey prior to becoming the household name many of us have come to know or have heard about before. So when I think about these stories and I think about these novels and these books, I think about how the knowledge that Harriet gathered as a young girl, when she was always motivated to learn more, that knowledge gave her power. And in fact, when she grew up and she was enslaved, that power, the mindset to know more, enabled her to assist others and assist herself. So when you think about the power of knowledge and when you think about the power of social media, we have to wonder why is it also powerful? Knowledge is defined as facts, information, and skills acquired by a person through experience or education, the theoretical or practical understanding of a subject. When we see that definition, we all can easily say we grasp the idea of what knowledge is. But how do we know that it's powerful? Do we know it's powerful because learning new tasks and tips allows a slave to become free? Do we know that knowledge is powerful because it allows us to continue to be aware of the conditions that surround us? Allows us to be familiar with things in our society? To me, knowledge is so powerful. It's because when you think about it, as a child, I struggled with reading. I often think back on it, and it's mind-boggling how our perceptions of objects and situations change over time, because I love reading now and I understand its importance. When you're reading something and you're identifying with a character, you're more knowledgeable of something, right? I wonder sometimes if I struggled so much in school, maybe because I didn't think reading exactly was the status quo. Some might laugh at that thought, but to me, when I think about ideal struggles, I think that a lot of times we place ourselves in these barriers because we don't take the initiative to learn and put ourselves out. Another book that was quite interesting that we actually had read together was Nightjohn. Nightjohn, what's really special in that book was John. His knowledge is powerful because his impact to teach others allowed them to be free. So I tie that all into social media to think, with the rise of social media, with the rise of access, a lot of times we think that social media is such a dangerous tool, but it's also so important because with it, we are able to overcome any and all of these walls. Thank you so much. Hello everyone.